So I got the mixer. Music is coming.
Music is coming. Which episode is this for us? 105,
107.
7?
Yeah, I got the mixer. So once this mixer gets fired up, we're gonna have music.
That's going to be nuts. And we have a special guest today, so we're very excited. So I know we want to get to at least one topic before our guest comes on, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's like the hottest topic you have?
Let's check the old hot topolator.
What does it say?
But the topolator says gas will be free.
Are you talking about emissions from animals?
No, I'm talking about everybody's freaking out about gas, the price of gas.
They are? Okay.
Thanks for subverting my premise.
I did not know. I believe you. What are we freaking out about? The price, my God.
Price, because Trump had gas down to $2 and whatever. Now it's $2.80.
Can you believe we're ruining Trump's legacy with the gas?
Biden is wrecking the country with his gas prices. Okay, let me say this. If you're a gas consumer over the years, now you didn't have a car for 3 years, 5 years, whatever, but you had a car at one point. You bought gas at some point.
Yes, sir.
I know you're sitting on a pile of gold coins like McDuck.
I can't hear you. I'm surrounded by piles of money.
But us regular folks are concerned about the price of milk and the price of gas.
Yes.
All right.
It's a thing to yell out gas prices when you drive by. Like when you see a cow and you moo, you drive by and you go, 284.
What's gas cost in New York?
You know, it's definitely over $2. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know, sir.
You're a rich girl and you've gone too far. So anyways, my point being this, back in let's say 10 years ago, right? Okay. There was a skirmish in the Middle East. Well, freaking gas prices went up the next day, even though it was probably 2 months before any type of, interruption of gas flow would ever happen from some sort of skirmish.
Yes, yes.
So in the last month or so, 2 months, whatever, you've had new president, Keystone Pipeline shut down.
Yes.
The Suez Canal backed up for 4 days.
Right.
Freezing temperatures in Texas, stopping gas flow.
Yes.
Gas went up 50 cents.
Gas went up 50 cents? That's a lot. No, I'm not mocking you.
Now you're concerned about gas.
Well, here's the thing. I don't drive that often. So I filled up like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
2 weeks ago. So I haven't driven past, believe me, had I driven past, what are gas prices in Florida?
Let's call it $2.75.
Okay.
I'm saying, but we were living with gas over $3 for the longest time. Gas around $2 is kind of a treat.
It is a treat.
Occasionally gas goes below $2. We all like that.
Yes. When was the last time it was below 2?
I think 6-8 months ago.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, well, it all depends upon your local taxes and stuff. I mean, California, they're never going to get below $2. I mean, just taxes by themselves is probably $2 a gallon.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So what's the answer to the gas crisis, Tom?
Here's amazing Kreskin look into the future, okay? Yes. You've had multiple reasons why gas should be soaring. Pipelines, Suez, freezing temperatures, Joe Biden. And it couldn't even get to $3. We're never going to see $3 a gallon in Florida again.
Because?
Take that to the bank. Because we're approaching a tipping point with manufacturers manufacturing electric cars and gas cars. 10 years, you're not going to have 5 years, you won't have anybody making anything but electric cars. I'm going to guess could be 3 years you're not making any more gas-powered cars.
Didn't they say by 2035?
Whatever the number is, it's happening. Why would Ford make a gas-powered car?
Yeah.
They're pushing all their technologies into electric cars. That's how it's going to be from here on into the future. Your kids, your grandkids will never buy. They'll look at gas cars the way we look at something, like an old Model T.
Well, by then we'll all be living on the moon with Elon Musk.
We'll be on moon. Musk has got the moon. I'm saying that they're going to be giving gas away at the end.
That's interesting. I guess I hadn't thought of it, but yeah,
Of
I
course
mean,
you haven't. That's why I'm here. I'm the big brain. You're the
I,
beauties. You're the beauty. I'm the brain of the show.
I can't think about these mundane things like paying for stuff. That's ridiculous, sir.
People can't relate to you, Melinda, if you talk about things that you're, oh, I don't even care about the price of gas.
That's not true. I care very much. I just hadn't seen it lately because I hadn't gotten gas for a couple of weeks. Because at the rate that I drive, I don't have to drive to go to work. I work from home. I
Of
work
course.
for a living, sir. I have to work
Hi,
on
sir.
a fairly regular basis.
Well, I was working yesterday doing my trivia, still auditioning for trivia. I'll get that $75 a day gig if it's the last thing I do.
You will do trivia.
It's fun though. It was fun. It's a gas.
You know what? As someone who's gone to those bar trivia games, I've never stopped to consider the pressure that the person given the trivia is under, because everybody's yelling and it's crazy. You just think about how much fun it is. You don't really think about the details.
I never went to one that the guy was having fun. Every time I go to these things, I've gone to maybe 6.
Yes.
The guy was always a guy, and he was always cranky.
Really?
That's been my experience. I'm like,
okay.
really? You got to do this business?
You got to quit going to those trivia games at the nursing homes. Go to bars. Go to the beach.
It wasn't like a piano, dueling pianos. They were always going, well, I'm having a blast. I had fun. She let me host for half the show.
And as a game player, you're good at trivia, right? You seem to know a lot of trivia.
I think I would do well. I do okay. There's some, clearly I don't know everything, but I mean, there were some questions yesterday. I mean, how many moons does Jupiter have? Within 5.
7, I was going to say. 6.
How about 79?
I was a little bit off, but I just had a great time yelling it out. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So some of the
Really,
questions really hard.
Yeah, that's hard. I don't ever remember hearing that about Jupiter.
I mean, but yesterday, one of the questions was, all right, name this song. Name the song that this lyric is from. You ain't never had a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. I can't. What's the what?
You ain't never had a rabbit?
You ain't never had a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine.
No. The Beatles.
It's Elvis. Hound Dog. You ain't never had a rabbit, you ain't no friend of mine.
I guess I never knew. I mean, I'm one of those song people that's like, and you ain't never had a friend. I'm that person.
I'm working on a joke.
And
I say, well, these are the beats. This is the funny part. The idea is, how famously Elton John, Rocket Man, has that part that's kind of mumbled.
Yes.
Burning up here alone. Right? I contend he's mumbled the wrong part. He should have mumbled the part where Mars ain't the type of place you raise your kids. And at least it's cold as hell. And there's no one here to raise them if you do. That's the most nonsensical lyric I've ever heard in my life. He should have mumbled that part. The other part about burning it.
What was the other part? I don't know.
It's burning like a candle out here alone.
Okay.
Which is kind of a creative way to describe a rocket.
I like that.
Yeah.
No, I do like that.
Okay. Like I said, there's no funny part of that joke. It's just an observation.
Observational humor works.
I wish this was vodka.
Observational humor does work.
Go on, give us one of your topics. We got 5 minutes before our guest shows up.
All right. Well, most of my topics are very lingering, and I mean, I did want to touch lightly before our guest Henry Penix joins us to talk about business do's and don'ts. Both you and I are independent contractors, and so that means we're kind of hustling a lot to stay on business trends, to stay involved. To we're not just showing up and getting a salary. Right.
Of course.
So, and that's something we're going to talk to Henry about. But I wanted to ask you, have you ever had a circumstance in your working world as an independent contractor where there was someone that you just absolutely couldn't tolerate, but yet
besides Al,
that you still had to work with, and you still had to just, it's difficult in those circumstances.
Well, it's funny. Buyers can tend to be that person. And like, I don't know if you ever worked with a buyer, but they're like doctors. They've got a real God complex.
I have worked with buyers.
I mean, it is what it is. But
they have so much power.
But the pressure's unbelievable. They got no time for nonsense.
I will, you know what, depending on what Henry wants to talk about, him and I really kind of connected over an issue with the buyer at the Home Shopping Network. So it'll be interesting
Really?
to see if we want, if we bring it up, because buyers have, both Tom and I work at HSN and QVC respectively, and buyers decide how much your product, when your product is aired, if you even get a show.
Right. I know, but yet, and buyers also get fired if they don't produce. So
Right.
it's not because they just want to be maniacal.
No, they have a lot of pressure and they will throw the pressure your way. I mean, I will say I had a lot of, Joan Ballas was one of the buyers in electronics for me. And I will say she was so supportive and gave me electronics when I really didn't know a lot about electronics, but that's why they gave them to me, because my whole spiel was, if I can do it, you can do it too. So it was really brilliant of them. I learned it and I sold the electronics. I didn't realize though, until I sold electronics on HSN, how much pressure it was. It was a lot of pressure. You needed to sell a lot of pieces. And the people that had been in electronics, when I walked in on the set, like loosey goosey, they're like, excuse me, ma'am.
Please.
What are you doing here?
You're not an electron.
You don't know. And then having to work Bluetooth and stuff when you're on set and all these other, crazy things. It was very stressful. And actually, one of Henry's products was sold in the electronics category, which, we'll talk about. So
you're setting the table for Henry. I like that.
Setting the table. So, but have you, besides Al, have you had anybody that you've had to work with? But it was really very difficult because you needed them, but they're just, you don't have to mention names. We don't like to mention names. Have you?
I forget. I had kind of a love-hate relationship with a vendor. It's funny because it's almost like I listen to a lot of podcasts, that a lot of times I listen to movie this and movie that. And
yes.
And you get a philosophy where a director, his job is done when he casts the film. I'm going to cast Alec Baldwin because Alec Baldwin's going to bring his special flavor to this particular role. And I'm not going to tell Alec Baldwin how to do the role. Right. Alec, you read the piece and you perform it the way you'd like, and it's like, bring your own vision to the part.
Yes.
You're professional.
Yes.
Now, unless he's way off base.
And are you saying you were not given the same?
Well, I'm saying if you hire a guy, you should let him do his thing, unless it's going off the rails.
Because why else would I hire you?
Well, yeah, because you also get in situations where somebody's standing 12 feet off to the side and he's waiting for you to say whatever the hell is in his head.
Yes.
And I'm saying what's in my head. And if you want me to say what's in your head, you should tell me that before the show. It's like a bad marriage. You want me to read your mind.
Didn't you I had that with vendors before I go on air, before they pushed them off set, they would stand off camera and say, you must say this 3 times.
I never had anybody say that, but it's not hard to imagine that. And believe me, when I get a note from a vendor, like, after a show, and of course, a lot of times the notes are accurate. I'll have his note said, the guy said, you didn't say that. Oh yeah, you're right. I didn't say that. And I'm my bad. But I make sure that I get say that, whatever that note is, and not in a mean way, but make sure we're going to say it. See, let's do it your way, especially if the things haven't been performing.
Wow. Okay, I just heard from Henry that he did not get a Zoom from you. I don't know.
What?
Yeah. So let's just make sure. Let's just try to do this and send it, maybe resend it or something.
Henry, HENRY.Penix.
Are we going to give his email to everybody in the world? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
HENRY.Penix@gmail.com, right?
Yes, sir.
We'll edit that out.
Yeah. Henry.Penix. Yeah. Okay. Just making sure, because it's very likely I send it to you wrong, but that's what it looks like.
Yeah. I mean, can you take it on Facebook? Can you send it to him that way? Let's pause our transmission as we figure this out.
Pausing now.
How's that? We're resumed on your end.
Yes, we are, sir.
Bring
Technology.
What's that?
I said technology. Don't you love it?
I love it.
And then we're bringing in a photo of Mr. Henry Penix.
Oh, I'm doing a photo too. Henry.
This is the way the wind doesn't mess up my hair this way.
Are you broadcasting outside?
How are you, Tom?
There it is.
I'm well, Henry. Thanks.
Mr. Henry Penix is here, and he's doing the muscular arm thing too.
No, this is
really?
the muscular arm thing. How are you guys doing?
Super.
Really good. So, Henry, I'm going to introduce you, and I'm going to do 2 introductions. The first introduction I'm going to do is what the internet says about you. Okay. So the internet is very exciting because you can.
Please don't read everything.
The sheep's a liar. Oh.
Yeah, I know.
So the internet says Henry Penix is an entrepreneur, a best-selling author, a speaker, an international business and life strategist. What I'm going to say about Henry Penix is he's someone that I met through work who was very professional and did a great job. And then we became friends, and I liked him even more because not only is he a good businessman, he's a good human being. And I don't think you always get both of those in the same package. So welcome, everyone, Mr. Henry Penix.
How nice
Thank
is that?
you very much for saying that. I appreciate that, Melinda.
Yes. And so, Henry, you're on here today, not only because we appreciate having a smart person on our show, we wanted to talk to you about business and having friendships and relationships in business. So if you want to further describe what your business is, you can do that. So then we can dig right into what you do. But also, forgive my manners, this is Mr. Tom Wise. Tom, Henry, Tom.
Thanks for coming, Henry. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Tom, very nice to meet you. Any friend of Melinda's is a friend of mine.
Well, thank you very much. I feel the same. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now answer the questions.
I thought we were done.
No, I know it sounded like a wrap up.
That easy.
We're exhausted now.
Yeah, that was so traumatic. So I consult businesses. I've had multiple businesses myself. I had a technology company called Zomm, Z-O-M-M. We were worldwide.
So close.
Excuse me?
So close to Zoom.
Yeah, I know. We got them mixed up a few times, but we kind of did distribution around the world with that in all of the Apple stores, the Best Buy stores, and all of that stuff. So it was a huge testament to our team. I've done real estate development. I've had Subways, Starbucks. I love to create. I'm doing a virtual mental health and wellness company now. We're launching that out of San Diego called SOAK, S-O-A-A-K. We're really excited about that. We were on the phone yesterday for a while with the folks at Amazon, and they're bringing us on through their Alexa teams and things like that. So that's kind of all in the works now. It's been a wild ride. But what you said earlier, Melinda, really struck a chord with me in that it is about the relationship with people. You know, you can buy companies, sell companies, you can have 500 employees or have just one employee, but if you're not kind of a good human, or at least trying to be a good human, all that is for naught. Yeah. And for me, the most important thing for me is if I can lay my head on my pillow at night and go to sleep within the first few minutes, that I'm not thinking about who I've screwed or what I'm trying to do or these different deals I'm trying to get or what angle will this guy think or that girl think or whatever. Like, that means the world to me. And when you connect with good people, that's 90% of the deal right there. With you, when we were trying to get our first product at Zomm way back in the day, on HSN, you came to me and gave me the God's honest truth. And I remember specifically walking around in my backyard on a Saturday, I think it was, and you took the time to reach out and give me the truth about some things and helped every way you could. And when you couldn't help, you told me why. And you did help. Let me make that clear. But there were some things that when they couldn't work out like you thought they could, you would also call me and tell me that. You just didn't leave me hanging.
Yeah.
And that has followed you around all of your life. That's why you've been called by some of the biggest and best QVC and all those people and on air, because I think today people have a sixth sense about that. Like people say now, you can pick up on BS faster than ever, like especially online, and when people they're trying to project themselves as being something they're really not, and the more they try, the more the BS meter goes up.
Yeah.
But when you're the real deal, I think you can tell. When you're good to people, you can tell. That comes out in your heart, in your attitude, and that's certainly something that I saw in you way back then. So
yeah, I mean, Henry and I was so lucky we met Tom, because that was in the day I was put in electronics, and he had Zom, and Henry created Zom. He was all about Zom, yet they wanted me to be the spokesperson.
Not Henry?
Not Henry. Not Henry. And so now,
He's
as
clearly
someone
handsome
who,
enough for it.
thank you.
as someone who always loves to get work, I spoke to the buyer and said, "Hey man, why me?" And the buyer, we decided, talk to Henry, figure it out. So, we talked, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I believe I probably voiced my concerns to you and said, I don't know why they're not having you, because I never wanted you to feel like, oh, just give me this product that you put your blood, sweat, and tears in. Don't worry, little fella, I'll take care of you.
No, you did. You were very forthright with that, and you walked me all the way down that path. Yeah.
Yeah, so really what happened was, of course, it was a phenomenal product. It sold like crazy. It sold out. And then eventually, some things happened, and then Henry moved on, and QVC picked them up. And I believe also this is the product that you spoke about on Shark Tank, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And not just anybody gets on Shark Tank. Can you talk us through the process of how did that happen exactly? What was it like?
Yeah, that's funny, because I just had a guy the other day ask me. He goes, "Man, I've got this product." He said, "Can you pull some strings? Can you tell me how to go through the audition process? And what should I say? What should I do?" And I go, "Well," and Melinda, you know me. I'm gonna say some things that's gonna sound like it's very braggadocious, but it was because of my team, and these are factual things that happened. Hopefully this will encourage some of your listeners just to keep going and all that.
Yeah.
But when we came out with Zom, we won 3 CES awards: Consumer Electronics Show, largest electronics show in the world. We won Best of Innovation, blah, blah, blah. So Shark Tank actually called us, and I turned them down the first time. They kept calling, second month, third month. I finally said, okay, I'll go on. We were in the middle of a $15 million capital raise.
Okay.
And they were wanting me to come on for like $1 million. And they said, this $1 million will be the biggest we've ever had. It's going to be the best, blah, blah, blah. I go, well, no, I can't take my time away from doing what I'm doing. And we had gotten over 1 billion media impressions, Tom. Like, wow. We worked our butt off worldwide. Wow. We were in all the magazines. We did this tour in New York. I was in front of the Oprah people, all these different people, New York Times, everything. We were on multiple shows, Today Show, all that stuff. And so we got all these media impressions. So Shark Tank wanted to kind of have us on there to kind of even help their ratings. This was, I think it was in the second year maybe of Shark Tank or something like that. So, but anyway, so they called us, and I told this guy, I go, I can't give you any advice because we didn't try out. I go, they actually called us. I got there, and I'm still under kind of an NDA, so I have to couch what I'm saying. But I got there, and they recorded me almost 2 hours to get a 4-minute episode.
Wow.
Yeah.
Evidently they liked it. The bad part is there was some editing that I didn't really agree with, but I signed off on before the fact. That's all I can say about that. There was a conversation between me and Mr. Wonderful for about 20 minutes.
Okay.
It's one of the best business conversations I've ever had with anyone, and none of that was aired. Much to my surprise. So, I went on, they got their deal, they got the infotainment aspect. For me, it kept playing as soon as, as recent as, I think it's about 2 months ago. Somebody had seen it again.
Wow.
And this was something I had done, 4 or 5 years ago. So, so it was really, a buddy of mine was flying international, and even on the Delta, that thing you pull out
Yeah.
different episodes and stuff, it was on there.
Wow.
Crazy. That's
He goes,
great.
dude, you're going coast to coast.
Wow.
But it was a good experience. The part that I didn't like, that I can't really talk about right now, I would still do it again for the recognition and all of that. So it was ultimately good for our company.
Okay.
But it was quite the process. I learned a lot during that process.
Huh.
Okay.
Did you recognize an immediate spike from the broadcasting of the show?
We did.
I know I was talking to a guy at the hardware show in Las Vegas. He had a kind of an odd, very specific electronic item for industrial applications, and he had a huge spike. I mean, it wasn't a consumer item at all. It's like,
Right.
This is for, somebody's putting up electrical poles. It was crazy. He said, my business went through the roof.
Yeah. It wasn't a million consumers. It was like just a few select people, but it's still hitting hard. And yeah, you get that. Our servers actually crashed. We had them daisy chained in the cloud so they wouldn't crash, but they crashed the first airing, and we had to get it up. And that was it was kind of a badge of honor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a great time with that. And then we took it on to QVC, and the part that we haven't said yet, Melinda, is, so I was able to get on QVC, and I passed their little behind the camera test. And so I did that for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. And so one of the last episodes, and we did the Today Special Value, which very few products get that. They put you on for 24 hours, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And but one of our last episodes was well, do you have time for me to tell the story really quick?
Yes.
Kind of cool. I mean, this would probably do good for your listeners too. It encourages me when I hear it. But so they had me down to do this behind the camera test. I took one of the people that were on my team at ZOM with me, one of our marketing people. And you have to go through this class, you have to pass the test. So I did. And they wanted to give the whole group the tour of QVC.
Right.
So they hadn't accepted our product yet. They just wanted to make sure I could be behind the camera and all that. So while the group went on the tour, I told my buddy, I go, cover for me. I saw the buying offices, and how, I don't know if you've ever been in that part of QVC, but there's like a sea of desks.
Yes.
There's like 100 desks,
yes.
And all these have different departments and all that. So I went, like the group went that way, I went that way, and went in the buying office, went to electronics, and just started asking questions. And they go, well, the main buyer is this person. And I go, well, how do I get a hold of him? They go, well, he's an extension, blah, 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 blah. So I go back to the office that my team was training in. They were going on a tour, and I called from inside QVC from the phone. So he picks up on the first deal. I go, I'd love to show you my product. I'm in blah, 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 blah. So he winds up coming to that little room. The first question he asked me, he goes, how did you get in, and how did you get to this room?
No kidding.
And who in the hell are you?
Yeah.
So they were covering. He comes in. I'll skip a ton of detail. I sold him on the product, gave him a demo. He loved it. I passed the thing where you've got to be on air.
Yeah.
And so they started booking me. My first booking, Tom, no matter how cool I thought I was, we were like $500 or $600 away from the minimum you can buy. And I had my friends calling me, and I'm going, I don't know what to do. Like, if you don't hit this level, back then it was like $2,500 a minute or something like that, dollars. And so they go, you're almost there. You're almost there. They go, call and order some of your products.
Yeah.
I go, what? They go, yeah. So I'm in the green room watching my stats.
Yeah.
On the phone with QVC, ordering 2 more of my products.
No way.
And they go, can I, who is this? I go, this is Henry Penix. So we hit the minimum. They had us back. The next time we were at like 3,000. The next time we were at like 5,000. One of my last shows, I was on for 10 minutes. I did 2 10-minute segments. I did a 10-minute segment's a big thing. Like if you get past 6 minutes, that's a big thing. You know all this, Monday. But they had me on for 10 minutes. We did $720,000.
Wow.
We averaged over 35,000 a minute.
Well done.
And then they had me back that Saturday, and I did the same thing the next day. And this all came from me having to buy something to try to get 25.
Isn't that something?
So the whole thing, I mean, there's so many lessons in there. Never give up, never take the path most taken, cut your own path, be kind, don't be an ass. Like if I would have went in there saying, where's the buyer? You can't do that. But if you're genuinely, like concerned with things, and you appreciate people, and you use some of your own ingenuity, think outside of the box a little bit, that parlayed into a great career. So
yeah,
I say all that to say this. So now that I feel like I've earned my props on QVC, Melinda and I used to call each other and we would go, how much did you sell them? Well, I sold it. And how much, and she wound up like blowing my record away. And
yeah, her eye stuff is amazing.
She was very kind in telling me, when she did it and how she did it. She probably said it a couple times too often, but anyway, she did. And she's like, and I'm not saying this for any other reason, but she's got that same love for people. She wants to help people, and you feel that from her, and it draws people to you. And that's why she sets records. So anyway, that's the whole Shark Tank, QVC, all that story.
So how did you feel when you had her go on with your product and HSN? It's got to be, because I've done the same thing. I brought products in. Well, I brought a product into QVC and they wouldn't let me go on because I was on at HSN. So I had to give it to somebody else, and it didn't work out well. The guy didn't do a good job.
It was scary, Tom. It was like real scary, because if you get somebody misrepresenting your product, and it's not just that they wouldn't do it right, it's if they misrepresent it,
that's a problem.
1,000 people see it. Maybe somebody at Best Buy sees it. Maybe somebody at Apple sees it, and it's like, well, this is not what I thought. And I mean, there's a lot riding on it. So building up trust and having, what I call relational capital, using that, like, again, knowing the person, knowing their heart, taking time to talk to them on a Saturday, like, those are all huge. And it's not foolproof or bulletproof. Like, it's not 100 times out of 100, but instead of you having only a 50-50 chance, when you take that time to get to know somebody and get on the phone with them Saturday, Sunday, whenever you can, it probably puts you in that 80 percentile, maybe 90 percentile of success.
Yeah, I felt a lot of pressure because not only was it a new product, and we all know as a vendor or someone that goes on air, sometimes it's a one and done, and you might go in, this person's put their blood, sweat, and tears into a product, and then it crashes. I've had products that have crashed after one airing and the buyer won't buy it again. So I think the great experience I had with Henry right off the bat was we only met by phone. It wasn't a video conference or anything. It was just a voice phone call. Right. And I expressed my concerns because it was his baby, and I didn't want him to feel like I was going to take over. That was a concern of mine, because I've had those uncomfortable conversations with vendors. Why didn't you do this? I told you to do that. And it's very stressful when you have a vendor saying, I will tell you how to do your job, when you're like, they hired, here's my expertise, you share yours, let's put it all together so we can, create this beautiful experience. Because you guys also know I could be doing my best job. The host can be doing their best job. If there's a news event, if there's something happening in the world that day, everything can fall apart. It's a magical system to make everything work just right. And I think
but with you, Melinda, for me, bottom line, I knew you cared. Like, I felt in your voice, by the things you were saying, by you being honest and not trying to just BS me like other people had tried to. Like, you were one of the first people that came across totally honest, transparent, showed me the good, the bad, and the ugly. And for your listeners and just for people at large, like give them the whole story, like even the bumps and the bruises, because then you're not setting up an expectation that may not be realized. Like, if you set that expectation too high, I was introducing somebody to a group of people that were a very significant group of people, and it could have done us really good. It did do us really good. But in my introductions, I said, you've done this, you headed up this company, you headed up that company. And he goes, yeah, Henry, he goes, but I've learned in my career, he goes, if you set the expectation too high, then you've got a long way to fall. He goes, if you just set it a little bit, just enough to get their interest, then you can impress them.
Yeah.
But weigh the odds there. And how much do you say? What do you say?
Yeah.
And I got
Overperform.
thinking about that. I go, well, heck, you're right.
Yeah, that's smart. That's really smart. Well, Tom and I were talking on a previous segment about Shark Tank, and you answer this the most comfortable way you have. We all know most people are not comfortable in front of a camera. Yet all of these people on Shark Tank, they know where to look, they know how to talk. So I'm guessing they're getting schooled. They're not just having people show up. They try to give the impression they just walk down there and they just start talking. Do they try to school you on how to be on Shark Tank?
Yeah, because most of them have like a 30-second planned speech once they hit their mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, because I was training to do QVC, Shark Tank, like all that stuff at once. So I'm trying to remember. They did put together a script.
Okay.
And the script, they didn't tell you what to say, but they told you sort of the sequence of events. So, create the problem, talk about the solution, get into, what investment, talk about valuation and all that. So they wanted, I guess what I can say comfortably is they made sure that you didn't get too far off the mark.
Right.
But to answer your question, the 30 seconds or 60 seconds was filmed behind an hour to 2 hours of camera in studio. So take that for what it's worth. But yeah, they do put you on a good track of not getting up there and looking like a fool or trying to run down a rabbit trail.
Yeah, because it gives people that watch the show an impression that anybody can just walk in, talk about their product, and it's that easy, which Tom and I talk a lot about is on-air guests. I get people all the time, and I think it's just because I'm probably too friendly. People go, I want to do what you do. Like, oh, anybody can just walk on set and
So
go
easy peasy.
Yeah. And so I struggle with that because I've never had any other career or heard any of my friends say, oh, people always come up and say, I want to do what you do, because it appears like it's a lot of fun and it's super easy. Have you had that in your career with like businesses you've produced or products you produce, trying to kind of take from you as opposed to, learning from you?
Yeah. And every situation's different. Like you're gonna have just different strokes for different folks, mainly. So I think bottom line, again, when you just put your best foot forward, let other people know that you care, know your product, like know everything in and out. Then when you make a presentation, it does look easy and it does cause people to kind of start to vulture around you. Like it took you years to make what you do look that easy, Melinda. And Tom, I've never seen you on air or anything like that, but
it's a mess.
It's the same story.
Henry, I have a question. How do you handle risk? What's your philosophy about risk? Because a lot of folks will take a certain path, and then some folks will take a path that's a little riskier. Would you have any advice?
This podcast is a risk, Tom, and the way I was introduced was a risk. So I think you already know that answer, but to elaborate on that, you're obviously never going to get anywhere in life without taking a risk. And there's calculated risk, and there's jump off the cliff risk, and I've done both. And I've been rewarded by both, and I've been hurt by both. I've won a lot more than I've lost.
Right.
And who said this? Wayne Gretzky said, he never skated where the puck was, but where it's going. So to go somewhere beyond what people can see is a huge risk. I call it faith. My faith is very important to me as well. So I've got a confidence that I can do things that maybe other people haven't or didn't. Or if you make that first cut through the forest, it's always the toughest. And you second guess yourself, you second question yourself all the time, no matter how big and bad you think you are. There's always that question mark. So without risk, it's impossible and without faith, more importantly, it's impossible to get to where others haven't been. What's the expression? You're guaranteed to miss 100% of every shot you don't take.
Amen.
Like that's one side of it. I'm very curious by nature. I always try to think outside of the box. The QVC thing, that risk would have blown up in my face if the guy said you weren't supposed to be in here and kicked me out, which could have happened.
Sure.
But I had that faith and that confidence that I could go in and no matter what was thrown at me, I could handle it. And you know, I think people need to remember that humans are human as well. And so he came in that office and was almost proud of me for doing that, you know.
Right.
So it's like, I think risk, I think faith is a huge part of things that I've been through that have been fairly successful.
Well, are there any places that people can go to find your products and things that you're forwarding these days?
Yeah, just my website, Henry Penix, HenryPenix.com. And I'm on most of the social media stuff. I mainly just am kind of working on my own businesses now, so I really don't have anything to sell or I do some consulting every once in a while, but I love venues like this where I can speak something or we can talk about something and we can talk freely that will hopefully help somebody and give them the next step in their life and in their journey.
Amen to that. Yeah,
I
get back
love
a little bit.
that. Yeah. Our show is called Wise and McKinsey Unpacking Some Shit, because we like to dig through the layers of what the truth is, because I feel like a lot of times in this world, and a lot of times if you're successful, people try to pretend as if they deserve it, they'll always be here, they're not going to give their secrets to anyone. And I'm really opposed to that. I feel like there's abundance across the board for everyone, and it's nice to unpack some stuff. And Tom and I have had some real life experiences that we want to share. Just exactly what you were saying is that just really believe in yourself, take a chance, go out there, because if you don't try, you're right, you're absolutely not going to have any idea. I was told, you know, I'm 60 now, and I was told when I was in my 40s that I was a has-been, that I was done, that I had no business being in front of the camera. I was told a lot of bad things. Had I bought into that, my life would be on a completely different path right now. And just simply because I refused to believe what the naysayers were saying kind of led me here. And I'm very happy. I live in New York now. I have a job, you know, that makes me very happy. And it's really just simply because I started listening to myself and stopped listening to what the world was telling me I was incapable of doing.
Yeah, and a lot of times, and do we have like 5 more minutes, or I wasn't given the time. Do you mind?
Yeah.
So a lot of times that can even come from your family, and from your close friends, and it doesn't mean that they don't love you. And this is very important. This is so important, especially to an entrepreneur. Doesn't mean they don't love you. It just means they don't understand you.
Yeah.
And you know, I think my whole thing, and when I was speaking about my faith, you know, God said he'll give you the desires of your heart, which that means he places those desires in your heart. Desire comes from the Latin root word sire. Sire is the male. So when you get that desire, you've also got everything that you need to make that desire happen. So when you're in your prayer, your meditation, you've got a certain desire, you've also been downloaded with everything that you need to make that desire come true.
Interesting.
So when family members hear your desire, and this is why you have to be careful, especially when a desire and that little seed is in infancy, because that's when it can be killed the fastest.
Yep.
But when you've got that little desire or that thought, and you blast it out to your family and expect them to understand it or to be as excited as you are, you're setting yourself up for failure, because number one, that dream, that desire wasn't downloaded to them, it was downloaded to you.
Yeah.
Secondly, they love you. They don't want you hurt. And if they're risk averse, which most people are, they're going to try to talk you out of it. And if they can't talk you out of it, they're going to try to shame you out of it. Yeah. Melinda, can you believe you grew up this way and you were this type of a person? You know this is never going to work. Well, you remember Aunt Joe or Aunt Harriet or Uncle Joe or maybe these days it doesn't matter. But remember all these people that failed and they start throwing up all these failures. That's what I'm talking about when that faith comes in, when that faith comes up to you that says the same desire that I got, and I know that I have what I need to make this happen. That's the same thing that's going to keep you going step after step and day after day, no matter what happens. But specifically when your family comes to you, don't let it be a thing. Don't let it be something that splits the family. Just understand, be big enough, back up to a 30,000 foot view and be big enough to understand that desire wasn't given to them. It was given to you. And a lot of times they're just trying to protect you, no matter how horrible it may sound. I've had my own mom said, I had this great deal coming up one time, and I said, Mom, I'm so excited, this and this and this. And she goes, yeah, I just don't see how that could work. And like, I felt personally offended, and it was one of the greatest business deals I've ever done. But I couldn't blame her because she just didn't get it. She just didn't understand it, and that wasn't her fault. So I take that, I put that energy back into me, and I just let it happen, and I let it grow. And these days I watch who I tell certain things at certain times in the gestation of that little seed, you know, and remember, a seed will never grow. And I'm sorry, I'm going off here, but
no, I love it.
A seed will never grow unless there's some dirt on it. So when you plant a seed, you go into darkness, you get all this dirt piled on you, all the stuff that people talk about you and talk, but that's the only way that it can germinate. And then as it starts growing, it doesn't grow up first, it grows down first. So it's seeking a root system, it's seeking strength and stability, that when people start to see it, you're already rooted and grounded from the dirt. Let the dirt people are talking about you be your friend and help germinate you to this wonderful plant that's going to be not just the destination you can go to in life, but your destiny.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's really great advice, because I really was offended by a lot of people when
You've got a list.
We all do, dude. We all, if you're doing anything in the world, we all do.
Yeah, that's really great advice. I really love that. Well, thank you, Mr. Henry Penix.
Thanks, Henry.
That's the least I could do. Well, and I've lived it, and hopefully you can hear that in my heart. I never talk about something that I haven't lived personally. And when you've lived something and been with something like that and been on both sides of it, again, if somebody can hear just a portion of what I'm saying and it helps them, then my job's done.
Yeah.
Well done,
no,
sir.
that's beautiful. I love that. What a great way to wrap. Thank you so much, Henry.
Sure.
Thanks, Henry. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you. It was great having you on. And I know you're a speaker. Do you still, like, if someone needed a speaker, you're still available, like if they would reach out to henrypenix.com?
Sure. Yeah. I kind of work it in the stuff that I'm doing on the business end, but I love speaking to audiences, love doing interviews, and it's that lights me up. That makes me happy.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, we'll share all your information on our, when we send this out via YouTube and iTunes. So thanks again, Mr. Henry Penix.
Yes,
thanks, Henry. Nice meeting you.
All right. And then you'll have to do the official sign out. I don't know technology, but.
Yeah, Henry's got to click his way out the door.
However you do that. I don't. And he's gone. I love that about the dirt.
I love it. Yeah, I was going to add, when people are piling on bullshit about being negative about your idea, that's just fertilizer for your seed.
I love it. I really could have used that advice a long time ago, because it does hurt, right? When people aren't supportive of your ideas, where you think you have this really great idea and people are like, But
I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
For not for nothing, I ended up getting divorced, right?
Yes.
But there was a point in the marriage, 15 years in, where or so, and I was like, I have an opportunity to go. I think I'm going to eventually become an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Is what I said.
Yeah.
The marriage wasn't in good shape.
Right.
But not for nothing, my ex gave me a little bit of encouragement. She said, "You're probably going to be an entrepreneur. You should probably do it."
Yeah.
And that was all I needed to take off.
All you need, right? Sometimes that's just all you need. Is
where
just
she could have crushed it by saying, "No, you've got children. Stay with the job." I was making $100,000 a year, in all insurances, blah 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 blah. Right?
Yeah. I love that. I love that perspective of you've got to grow your roots before. That's really brilliant. I'm going to remember that. I do have a tendency to get ruffled if people don't see my ideas. and I know I go way off. I recognize that.
I know, but also people have they've got different tolerances for risk.
Yeah.
And they think their tolerance is your tolerance. I mean, my best friend, he had zero tolerance for risk. He ended up being a postman. because he wanted that job. He wanted that paycheck. He didn't, and he was
Yeah.
miserable the entire time. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, and remember, I think we talked about this with Jim Carrey. He said at a commencement speech, he said his dad always wanted to be in the entertainment business, but it wasn't solid enough. So he took a job he hated. And after how many years, he still lost that job.
Right.
And so Jim Carrey was saying, go ahead and take the risk. You can still lose the sure thing.
Yeah. There's no, I mean, yeah. Or you can have a sure thing and just be miserable.
And be miserable. And I think now that we've had all this downtime during the pandemic, we've had more time to really think about our lives and what we like, right?
Yeah.
And
How are you going to spend it?
what matters with us.
As they say in Japan, I can't say it.
Dude, you were so close to behaving. No. Okay, so I've lost track of time. I'm guessing we're close. You know how I like to close the show.
Daddy's got a show at 4:00 on Home Shopping.
Yeah, you've got a show. What is your sexy tip for the day? Let's wrap it with Tom's sexy tips.
Ugh.
And just to let everybody know, we were talking about orgasms the other day.
Yeah.
And Christy is going to follow up with this because she has the reasons why we were talking about guys 6 minutes, women 20 minutes. And so, Christy is our sexpert. And so she's going to come back on the show and explain how all that stuff works. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fun in figuring all that stuff out. So we will follow up with the orgasm. But while I was buying you some time, what did you come up with?
Well, I was thinking about a TikTok that I saw today. Call me crazy, but I was on TikTok.
Yes.
And there was this very attractive blonde lady who's very religious, and she's admonishing women saying, hey, you got to have sexy time with your husband as much as he wants to have it. And if
as much as he wants.
And if you're denying it, then it's on you if he's drifting towards pornography or drifting towards some other cheating. It was interesting. Men are responsible for their own actions. There's no doubt about it. But her basic philosophy was, you got to keep it available if you want him to be faithful. So
her thinking was, it was all like, no matter what, you must always be available is the thing, or just
everything within reason. He can't, if you're denying him sex because you're mad at him or because you don't feel like it, it's like, well, when he finally drifts away, it's going to be on you. Make me not mad at you then, dude. Yeah. Do something to make me not mad. No, I get it. I'm on. And he's going to go. You just lost your man. There's gone. Anybody else? Oh, no, I just gave you a sexy tip. I am on board with it. I think sex is very important. Like it. Well, just because you don't hear it the way I say it doesn't mean I'm wrong. I think, yes, within reason is what got me back on board. Within reason. You don't have to. We don't want anybody abusive or, whatever. But, he's a hardworking man. And she's like, hey, if he's hardworking, he takes care of the kids and he's whatever, he should, you should check that box for him. If either partner uses sex as a punishment, that's wrong. You should never, ever do that. Well, it's very common. What? Are you kidding me? Women not having sex with their men because they're upset because you didn't pick up the dry cleaning? Is that the same? Do men do the same thing or no? No, they don't. You say that with confidence? Yeah. Absolutely not. Yeah, you just give me a list of how many women say, oh yeah, he denied me sex because he was mad at me. Yeah, I would think it would be minimal. Yeah. I would think it'd be minimal. Right next to 0. All right. So the sexy tip of the day is, hey guys, sex is important. Use it as much as you can. Yeah. At the end of the day, and you'll be dead. Are you going to be happy you had less or more sex? You married the bastard. Let's all try to be happy. You know what? Just, yeah. Well, we talked last week or the other day, get the sexy dice out. If you're tired of having sex, get the sexy dice out. Flip it to the side you want. Cheat. Who cares? You're load the dice. You're still having always says lick your butthole. What's going on? And if you want to change it to nipple, you change it to nipple. It's your sexy dice. You play it how you want. All right. All right. Now we've ruined the whole show if Henry ever wants to show Henry can't show this show to anybody. We'll tell him to cut out the last. Yeah, we'll just cut out the last part. Well, I'm Melinda McKinsey. I'm Tom Wise. Thank you for unpacking some shit with us today and with our special guest, Mr. Henry Penix. Absolutely. And that's another one in the can.